Julie here with Sirius Taurus Moon, and we have Moon, our Saturn day, Moon in the first house, about to ingress to Magha Nakshatra. And let me see if we already have the traditional style. Let's see if we have the nakshatras. Ashlasha. Not yet Magha. Still Ashlasha Nakshatra. And I believe that the actual on the minute square would be from Magha. So let's see. Vedic nakshatras. Okay, let's see what would be the aspects. No, so we have less than 6 hours. Okay. Okay, let's build it from here. Going to the 6 hours. 6 hours. And the moon will be in Magha Nakshatra. Yes, but this is something would probably take. This means that the exact on the minute square between the Sun and Pluto is happening with Moon already in Magha, closer to Ketu. Sun in Taurus, Venus with Sedna, still conjoining Sedna in Gemini, Mercury in Aries, Mars in Aries. Let's see if Mars will still be in the 11th degree. No, 12th degree. Here is something important to take into account. Perpetuating ritual abuse on others is not recovery. If your method of healing was perpetuating ritual abuse on another person, then you're perpetrator. And this is what Moon Magha is purging, particularly when Uranus will ingress tomorrow. It's royal degree, Moon with Magha, closer to Ketu, Ketu in Magha, Venus with Sedna, the trafficking rings of the elite that were using dark occult as methods of health, and with the Sandhis can also be physical health. This is why Chiron in Aries and the fact that the patient is their own best doctors was very important for what is coming up. I think the cults, like, if I think about Scientology, it's more related to mental health. But if it has trajectories that are to do with physical health, because sun is health, it can be even something to do with COVID. But the occult practices behind, let's say, COVID. Because I know Bill Gates is litigated, so the occult, if he was using certain esoterics, that the hidden leaders that were activating somebody like the Gates could be. I remember when I was during COVID, I did channeling experiment. I was tortured, and then there was an attempt to me to offer, I think, reading by private message on Instagram. And one of the people was the Beyonce, the Bill Gates. I think Queen Elizabeth was also alive, and it was honing on the fact that as entrepreneur, we're supposed to. It's a juncture where we're supposed to remove resistance when we do like brainstorming, and that got me targeted on social media. Uh, Whoever was behind whatever was behind torturing me, and when I was trying to connect to channeling back then, could have been involved with the Epstein list. Can have to do. I know that Pfizer was astrologer. I know that I was studying aromatherapy, but not for like massages and stuff. For what? And this is when I was taking break from academia, following basically infiltration of the Epstein ring to academia. Now, any type of intelligence that use activation, which is basically mind control, which I did not agree to do, which is why I was so tortured. Naturally, I never consented to join any intelligence. Yes, that's that's to begin with. Now, it's also Uranus exiting the fifth house of Israel, the eighth house of Israel into the ninth. And I know that intelligence in Israel uses what they call active. I heard it on social media. Even women will say, when I activate him, and I say, what do you mean activate? What is activate? What is metaf'elet? But the person is not intelligence. And I think people are stressed because they understand. I know that there was connection between Epstein and intelligence. I know that Israel intelligence is litigated for rape and probably ritual abuse. And those things are funded by classified projects, meaning that for people like me that were targeted, basically entitled to lifelong compensations. Basically, the people that negated ritual abuse, that were talking about that the nature of rape interferes with what people call due process in juristics. And only later we would have, years later, complaints of people that in interrogation they were raped or abused or sexually harassed, even by women. I remember when I was in Spirit of Matter, I have picture. There was a lady that sexually harassed me when I came to try with makeup for my channel, because I spoke up against ritual abuse of children to do with the real estate. I was escaping basically a rat there. And in fact, this method of using occult practice that would emulate psychic attack of sexual harassment was actually quite prevalent. Now, if this coming from infiltration of the intelligence by the Epstein ring, whatever, but at any case, those things cannot continue. As long as the people still wake up from attempts to rape them, or from harassment, or from attack, or from weird personality calls or whatnot, then it means that the purging of these practices is still ongoing. And this is exactly what this sun going to the eighth house of Israel, towards the solar return, which is month of May. And here we have the Latin datum, which was Independence Day. We have the Hebrew date, which is Hey B'Iyar. And then we have the solar return, which is supposed to be towards the end of May. My birthday is Hey B'Iyar, and then the solar return is with Beta Persei. My sun is in the middle decan, but the solar return is conjoining Beta Persei. So those are junctures. That where we'll have the sun in Taurus, and as of tomorrow, no longer with Uranus. Uranus, the first time Uranus, when Sedna ingressed, it was the October War. The first ingress of Uranus, I don't remember. I remember it was upon the retrograde. I was having a cafe. I remember, no, because I was having matcha. And it was this weird matcha, and there was a sirens. I think it was the war with Iran, the first one. And then I moved with my matcha to the stairways. And I think, well, this matcha is such a small designed cup with such a big price. But I still was happy that I had my matcha. And I say, I have to try this thing. And I was recording when I was standing to political assassination prevention. And I said, all the planets are going direct, but Uranus goes retrograde because it has a silly walk. Of course, it has to go retrograde, and and now Uranus is going to go direct for to meet Sedna. Um, Uranus Sedna had to move away from Arad. No, this was the Sedna ingress. No, the Sedna ingress was October War, and then I think maybe it was the Uranus ingress when I had to move to Arad. I don't think it was the Uranus ingress. I think it was still Sedna. Um, of course, I was horribly tortured for, I don't know, and I think it was the Pluto ingress to Aquarius as well. Because I don't remember what the times. But naturally, it's the result of complex trauma. Um, and Moon, Makra, Ketu, Makra, purging all of that. Um, with the royal degree square between Sun and Pluto in 8th house of Israel is the occult, those who are behind the occult leaders of Israel, the occult leaders of those that do those rituals. And this is in regard to war or the infiltration of the intelligence of Israel by kind of like an Epstein occult that was targeting civilians. But I can say, I saw people mind controlled. Which means that they were probably tortured. Um, Other than the fact that I want my matcha. um, the coming hours are intense, and upon the release from that square, we're gonna have Uranus venturing in to meet Sedna. Again, anything that, how should I say that? Anything that perpetuates rape on people needs to be stopped. Whether it's astral, not astral, infants, adults, I don't know, under whichever guise. It also brings in issues of where something was supposed to be euthanasia and wasn't, and stuff like that. Again, tense few hours. The royal degree, particularly those that want to instill a king in Israel. Monarchy, monarch project MK Ultra, which is the sister of MK Often. Now, here is what I want to say. The people that you see with the weird symbols, they were people that were tortured. Okay, if you see, let's say, at my old Facebook, but there was also rituals that involved the meta. And um, and this is where also with my YouTube, when I did water expands upon cooling, I was channeling, there was this nervous system hack to make me do the what I thought was the peace sign. Later I was informed is not. So the people that you see with the hand gestures, they're tortured people. I saw some of my colleagues were tortured as well. Um, Pictures with the dog or pictures with the animal, they did also nervous system hack to animals. I know that there are technology where they upload the consciousness of people. This I know watching a documentary about Silicon Valley. Um, and again, but people don't have, let's say, with euthanasia, that is actually euthanasia, that can be administered by the person and cause immediate death without suffering, then what can I say? Then they cannot, um, yes, they cannot basically say anything about person in front of them when they don't offer this option. This is also why were cases where certain mothers burned alive offenders of their daughters that got out of jail, and they burned alive not as revenge, not as vengeance, not as anything, but simply because they were still harassing, they were still targeting, they were still continuing, and the only way to stop that was to do that. And the mothers did not have any weapon, they did not have anything that they could, I don't know, shoot this person dead, or more humane ways of killing a person to abolish basically rape and or ritual abuse.